So let me do a quick introduction here. We have a very special, both guest and client, but also a very special challenge this semester that sort of relates to this, new normal pandemic world where, all kinds of businesses have to look for new solutions to survive. And so one of those industries very much affected by the COVID-19 crisis is the restaurant business. So lots of restaurants everywhere, used to have clients, patrons every, day, every minute. And then all of a sudden they're going through lockdowns, restrictions. In the city where I am in, restaurants are working, but they cannot serve people inside. You can only take out food, and that completely changes the business model. Many restaurants did go out of business because they couldn't survive in this environment. And so I was very happy to see Troitsky Most, a company that approached us with their challenge, because I thought the type of experiences they're having now, or the type of challenges they're experiencing now, are exactly the same challenges other restaurants are going through. And I thought this would be a very interesting sort of example or case for you all, for the students to work on. And so while you have a real company from Petersburg, I guess that you have to say, that is going through this challenge, but I think the same advice, the same solutions that you may develop for this company would be also applicable for other restaurants. And perhaps you can even share them with your friends, maybe who own restaurants, or maybe your, relatives, or anyone else as a consultant. And so today we have a company from Russia, from St. Petersburg. And so we have the company co-owner, as I understand, co-manager, Daria Kotova. And so you have 4 cafes, you said, right? 4 locations in the city.
Yes, we have 4.
And, so let's learn more about your business and about the situation you found yourself in. And then hopefully our students will be able to come up with good solutions and maybe turn around your fortunes. So please tell us more about your company, about yourself, the history, the products, and then obviously how it all has changed in the past year or so. Sorry, you wanted to
can't,
right? Yeah, so let me go here.
Yes,
All right, so it should be working now. Does it allow you to share the slides? Yeah, it should work now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we see you. Yeah, wonderful. While the slides are opening, I'll share from my perspective when I saw the photos of the food. I mean, this is not food, this is art. I mean, I don't know if they always make it look so good, but I thought that those were very, very, artistically made dishes, and it just makes you really want to eat when you see it. So, all right, please, Daria.
Well, first of all, about history. Then almost 25 years ago, the parents of my boyfriend went to India. They were very inspired by the local culture, local traditions, and most of all by local philosophies and vegetarianism. They found it very healthy, very inspiration, and decided to stick to this philosophy. Then they have returned to St. Petersburg and find out that there were almost no vegetarian cafe, and it was extremely unpopular in St. Petersburg. Although St. Petersburg is very it is sometimes called cultural capital of the Russia. So people there, they are very, very open to something new, to different religions, to different culture. So they didn't afraid to open such a cafe, which would be extremely new to the St. Petersburg, and it surprisingly they were very successful because of many reasons. So these principles from the very beginning, they were saved till that day. And we are still trying to maintain these principles and not to deny from something of them in order to, for example, raise money by raising our prices. No, we want to save our prices to be very available for people and to show them that vegetarian could be very various and very delicious and what is more rather cheap. So here are our principles. As I already mentioned, these are low prices. Then our cafe can be called fast food because all food are prepared in advance and then reheat. Every morning, a cooker comes long before the opening hours of the cafe and prepare every food every day. It is fresh and tasty. Then third principle is our confectionery. We have our own. It is located in one of the cafe, which is the most biggest, and as well as food every morning. They prepare very fresh desserts, and after a driver deliver these desserts to the other cafes.
It's not only salads, you actually have like, you know, sweet things, that the full menu course, right? So it's not only just the salads that you sell.
Yes, salads. We have like first dishes, you know, like soups. Yes, main dishes. We have a wide range of food, very
And
wide.
is it vegetarian sort of global cuisine, or it's specifically Indian food?
No, first of all, it was Indian. I have mentioned that in the document. Yes, that first of all, it was only Indian food. And when we have widened our menu to, it's hard to count how many recipes we have. I think about 500.
Oh, that's
Yes,
almost.
it's very interesting that also in St. Petersburg there is a legend that it is impossible to count all bridges that we have, because you know St. Petersburg
Yeah,
is called sometimes North Venice.
yeah,
It is located on the river Neva, and
yeah,
there are lots of bridges.
yeah.
Um,
So are all
so
500 items on the menu? Like literally, like when I come to the restaurant, you have like a whole book with 500 choices, or do
no, no,
you sort of only
no,
like?
no. I also have mentioned in the document that we have about 500 um, recipes, but every day
Hmm,
we prepare about 30
uh-huh. So it's
different
a little
dishes,
different every
and
day.
these are also our advantage that, for example, people who live near our cafe or working near our cafe, they don't get boring going every day because they know that every day they can try something new, so they never get bored of our menu. This is very important, and also during the quarantine, then there were very small revenue. We didn't deny from this concept because we know that this is exactly the thing people like us for. Although it was maybe a little bit unprofitable because we have to buy new food every day, and we can't, for example, buy only one sort of vegetables, but we have to buy a wide range of vegetables or, for example, cheese and so on. Well, Next principle is that we have very pleasant interiors. We do not similar to the like usual fast food cafe. There they have uncomfortable chairs, maybe dirty tables and so on. We want to be very beautiful and very pleasant to sit for a long time. For example, to work with your laptop and many other things.
So this picture here, that's actually inside of one of your restaurants, or?
Yes, yes.
That's beautiful, actually. It looks nice.
Yes, my like my mother-in-law who did all this cafe, she designed on her own. We do not spend money on different and outsourced designers. We do it all on our own. Well, next think that all our cafes, they're located in the center of the city near places of interest, so we can call ourselves tourist oriented. And of course during last years, then tourism were very developed in St. Petersburg because it is a very beautiful city and a huge amount of people visited every year. We even have fans from different countries who very love our cafes. It's very interesting that it was especially French people. We do not know what is the connection, but a lot of French people attend our cafes every time then they came back to Russia.
Well, they appreciate good food, I guess, right? So
yes, one more interesting thing that we are not vegan, we are vegetarian, so we can eat dairy products, yes. And in our cafes they use a very high quality cheese, so maybe for that thing they appreciate it, because yes, of course all ingredients are very fresh and they're very high quality, and this is also a little bit a problem to maintain low prices, because last year's inflation is rather high and speed. So I mean fast and speed, and prices on the products are raising very fast. So, and also one challenge for us not to raise our prices because of raising cost of goods sold of our products. Well, another principle is specialty coffee. In every cafe we have very good coffee machines. That's exactly the thing. Italian people appreciate us. They love very much our coffee, and every time we hear a lot of compliments that we have very good equipment and very good taste of the coffee. So we pay a lot of attention to our drinks too, not only to food, but drinks and desserts. We are maintaining the quality of all production we have in our cafes. And the last thing is that we have breakfast and lunch combo. This thing allowed us to attract workers from near business centers and different organizations to attend us every day. So as I said earlier, a variety of recipes and such combos, exactly two things that made a lot of revenue for us, thanks to people from business centers. And our location and our quality of food made us popular for tourists who visited St. Petersburg. But as you know, now we have a pandemic situation in Russia, and especially in St. Petersburg, there is very bad situation with COVID-19 because we have the highest percent of death. I mean, if comparing Russian cities, of course. And it seems that in the nearest future, business centers and tourists would not return to St. Petersburg. I mean, tourists to St. Petersburg and workers from business centers to the offline job. So we lose two main sources of our revenue, and now it is very hard to survive. Of course, people who know us, who love us, they still attend us, but there is not a huge amount of people, because from the very beginning we did not develop our marketing strategy. We didn't promote on the social networks, for example, because we were very successful from the very beginning, thanks to the concept, I think, because it was completely new and it was good, it was cheap and it was tasty. So thanks to the word of mouth, people very fast knew about us and start attend our cafes. But this was 25 years ago, and these consumers, yes, these clients, they are aged with our cafes, and they do not attend a lot, yes, because there are a lot of new consumers, and we didn't manage to attract them in time.
Right. So if I can ask, before pandemic, your main client groups were, as you said, tourists and people who work in downtown of the city. So
yes.
What kind of advertisement did you do at that time? Was it just enough to be located in downtown? You didn't?
Yes, it was just enough. No advertising at all. No.
So people just kind of walk by, they see a nice restaurant, they walk in,
yes,
to buy the
yes,
food.
yes. Because they are located in the very downtown, in the very streets. There are always a lot of people. So.
Yeah, and I guess for the tourists, I mean, you don't really need to advertise. I mean, they basically walk around, see and walk in. But the local people who work in downtown, who come to you for lunch, for example, I assume they know you, right? So they see your location, they know where you are, so they know how to find you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. And other people, other fans, they also knew about us, that they once were walking in the downtown of the city, they tried, they like it, then told to their friends, and it was very good advertising. But as I said, this was a very long time ago, and we didn't attract new consumers, because there is a clear tendency that, yes, that my generation, yes, they knew a lot of things thanks to the social network, to the internet, and we didn't promote on the internet. And last year, then I entered university management. I was trying to ask my mother-in-law to spend some money on that promotion, yes. But when I have convinced her, lockdown happened. We were all closed, and we have a lot of debts to the wage, to the suppliers, lots of, and of course we can't spend money on promotion.
Right.
So then on my own, I create an Instagram account and start post there something and spend very small budgets on target. So now, but of course, I started 1 month ago or 2 months ago, and of course this didn't help us a lot, yes, to to come back to the previous revenues, but it's just a start.
Yeah. I see we have one student, Kidist, with raised hand. Kidist, I'm going to lower your hand. I'm not sure if it was an accident, but if you guys have questions, you can ask them in the Q&A window, or do raise a hand and we will add you to the panel here. You can ask them. So Kidist, if you had a question, raise your hand again. We will add you to the panel. Everybody else, same thing. So either type them or join us here and we'll talk together. So questions are welcome. So let's go on, yeah.
Yes, I can continue, yes? No. But I'm almost finished, but I wanted to mention also that our mission, that we want to show that vegetarian could be very tasty and diverse, because, you know, some people, they are a little bit afraid when they hear about vegetarian, especially people who love meat, who love, for example, cheese, pasta, and so on. And they are very surprised when they taste some dishes in our cafe and they feel like, I didn't want to eat meat now, because I understand that vegetarian is not boring. It is very interesting and it is very similar to the usual food. So we made a lot of people in St. Petersburg become vegetarian.
So these are the actual dishes that you serve right here?
Yes, these are our desserts. These are classic cheesecake, New York, and these are more light. These are cheesecake from cheese ricotta.
So what's in there? Because it looks so good. So I understand the cheesecake part, and then what is it? Blueberries, and what's that orange thing?
It's also a berry called I don't know how in English it's Russian called physalis. It's a little bit sour, but also tasty. These
and it comes with all this flowery thing, or it's like a flower and then the berry, or is it all part of the same?
No. It's like flower and berry inside. Leaves usually are not consumed.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one of those. Interesting. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the left side, you can see these are our table with salads. It's a fridge, and they're prepared in advance, and then people could combine. For example, they want. There is a system that every salad have one price, and they are how to say for the weight. We sell it for weight, like a price for the weight. Yes, and it is also our.
How much is it, like per kilogram or 100 grams or?
It is 85 rubles per. It's about $1. A little bit more than $1 for 100 grams.
Oh, that's very cheap. That's a very good price. Yeah, usually when you go here, at least in my city, I don't know if it's the same, but if it's in like a Chinese restaurant, usually it's about $8-9 per pound. So that would be what, about $2 per 100 grams or something like that. And then if you go like a vegetarian, it may be even a little bit more expensive because they tend to be a little bit more like gourmet, you know, like more. So that's actually a very good price, very affordable. Yeah.
Yes, we are trying to maintain. Well, and these are also our specialty. I didn't notice in any other cafe in St. Petersburg the thing like that. People very like our salads. I think most of all of our production, they are fond of salads. Maybe I can compare. I know you have sweet green, yes. It is similar, but we have prepared salads, yes, from the. No, I think you understand, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the end of my presentation, and I'm glad to answer all your questions.
Yep. So I want to do a quick survey. If you give me just 1 second. Um, so students, I would like to ask how the restaurants operate in your city. And so what I'm going to do here is I would like to poll, so you should be able to see the question on your screens now. And if you can tell us how the restaurants operate in your city. So if they're fully open, if they're open but work with takeout only, basically, you can get the food, but you have to eat at home, and then closed altogether. And so it seems like it's about 50-50. So it seems like in some it seems, or actually, yeah. So it seems like it's a mix of either open and operate as usual, or open but do takeout only. Okay, so there is nobody where restaurants are simply closed altogether. Okay, good to know. So, and we have quite a few countries here. Yeah, we did have a period when restaurants were closed, but now it's usually open, takeout only. Okay, good to know. Thank you. And so we do have a few questions. Let me take a look here. So we have a question from Dristy. How do you manage providing high quality food along with pleasant interior and providing other standardized things to the customers on such low prices? Basically, how do you keep price low and quality high?
It was possible when we have a lot of revenues. Of course, we have some margin from our food. We do not sell it lower than we pay for prepare it. And when we have a lot of customers, there is an economy of scale.
Can you share? I'm not sure if you can divulge that information, so if it's proprietary secret, but can you tell us what the profit margins were before the crisis and what they are now? Like, let's say for $10, what portion of that is the actual profit after all of the expenses, like food ingredients, electricity, whatever else goes into preparing food?
Yeah. Can you please repeat the...
What was the profit margin before the crisis, and what it is now?
Yes, we have our... how it's rentability, yes,
Yeah.
our rentability, like 10 or 12 or 20 years ago, it was 50%. So if
so
we earn $1 million,
when you sell a food item for like $10, it would be like $5 profit and $5 to make the food.
Yes, but it was 10 years ago. Then, of course, because of the inflation, it dropped to 20%. Yes, in summer it could reach 30%, but usually 20%. And now it is we have minus. Except one cafe, which is located in the very downtown, in the very good street on the river embankment, it has plus, but about no more than 10% of rentability, and others have negative net income.
Yeah. So how do you then cope with it? Like, what do you do now to survive? Are you so you cannot lower the prices much more because there is a cost of making the food, right? So you said you tried advertising on Instagram. Anything else you're trying to do or tried and it didn't work, maybe? Like, or
yes,
other restaurants do anything else to survive?
Yes, we have tried delivery, but it was very difficult for us in terms of operations, because if we have every day something new, it is impossible in services of delivery, yes, to change every day our menu. And also we prepare in advance, so some salad, for example, can be eaten, yes, the whole. And for example, if a person make an order of this salad, and we haven't got it at that exact moment, so the delivery is impossible for us if we want to save our principles, yes. If we want to have delivery, we have to change many things. For example, the working hours of our cookers, who should be spent a lot of time from the opening, all opening hours. Yes. What else we do now? We are trying to promote our confectionery, for example, to sell it not only in our cafes, but for example, find other cafes who do not have their confectionery to sell our confectionery. It brings a little money, but all in all, it is not enough to cover all the expenses. What else? We are trying to promotion, yes, on Instagram. Then we start our branding, yes. We create a logo. It is an Indian elephant. Why Indian? Because
Yes,
it is,
so yeah,
yeah.
what's with the elephant? So okay, that's the Indian connection, and it's a green elephant. I assume that symbolizes the vegetarian roots,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So we start pay attention to branding. For example, we put it on the every cup of coffee to go, yes, and on the no, yeah, yes, on the things that people
Can I ask you a
buy.
question about deliveries? So did you try to deliver food using your own employees, or did you use like a third-party services like Google? I mean,
Yes,
Uber Eats, or
we use both our own employees and third parties. But I have already told you about the disadvantages of working with third parties. They can't change menu, and we're not sued for the delivery.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay, so Brian here says, thank you, I'm hungry now. I'm hungry too, Brian, so I didn't have my breakfast yet, so I'm not sure what city you're in, but yeah, I'm getting hungry here. Robert is asking, have you considered advertising delivery option in some regions of your city, or at least did you do some research if it's possible, positive impact on your business, and if it's beneficial in this difficult situation? So I think we kind of talked about the delivery, but I'm not sure if you want to add anything. And when you advertise the delivery, was it confined to a specific area of the city, or did you deliver citywide? Because St. Petersburg, it's a huge city, like you cannot deliver everywhere, right? So you have
Yes,
to
it's very huge. We just for a specific area, but this specific area it covered all downtown of the city, which is rather big, and main districts. There are our cafes located.
Yeah. Now, Veronica is asking, so at this time, is your restaurant open as usual, or are you doing just only takeout and delivery?
No, now we are open as usual, but
Including seating people inside the restaurant?
yes, yes. But what is the problem? Yes, exactly in our city, as I have told you at the beginning, in exactly our city, there is the worst situation with pandemic. So people, there are people on the streets, but not too much. People are trying to sit at home and not to walk a lot. Yes, and one more thing is that for our government, if we are opened and there are no restrictions, they do not have to help us, yes, to make some payouts and so on. So they decided not to limit our work and not to help us.
So are there any special requirements in place in terms of, like, for example, in the United States, I know many restaurants installed like glass enclosements for the booth, like, you know, like each table is kind of surrounded by a glass frame, so to speak, so that you are, I guess, not spreading the germs. And then there are also requirements, you know, like, for example, all the personnel needs to wear gloves, and then all those hand sanitizers. Are there
Yes.
any things like that that you need to follow? And then spacing,
Yes,
it's like, you know, you cannot put as many people as you used before. So even when the restaurants were open, there would be like half capacity only. So what's the
yes.
situation?
There are restrictions, but they're not very difficult. Like there should be free space between tables, like 1.5 of the meter. but we did it, and it was not very difficult for us. And of course that all personnel of the cafe should wear masks and gloves, but for clients it is not obligatory. They do not have to wear masks. Now actually there weren't any like control for that. I don't know why, but governments do not pay attention to the restaurants and do nothing. No control, no help, no nothing.
Have there been any subsidies from the government? Like I know in the United States and in some other countries, small businesses can apply for all kinds of financial support or other types of subsidies or programs to survive during this difficult time. Anything
Yes,
like that in Russia?
there were for every worker, they for 1 month pay out the minimum wage. Yes, I
So
mean
like unemployment
minimum governmental, but it is very low. It is impossible. In St. Petersburg, there are prices for the living are very, very high. It is not impossible. Maybe for other cities of Russia, their price is not so high. This would be helpful, but for our workers, it was extremely small.
So there is another question from Veronica. Again, the ratio of locals versus international tourists. What was it before the pandemic and what is it now? So my impression was that it was about 50-50 before, or did I get it wrong?
And now I think the tourists no more than 5%. There is, and I mean, these 5%, this includes both tourists, Russian tourists and international tourists. Yes, and of course, earlier it was about 50-50. And even in summer, it can be like 60 or 70 international tourists, yes, and 40 Russian people.
Yeah, and Robert is clarifying, so you are open now, but without the tourists and the local downtown workers, you basically cannot, your sales are way down, right?
Yes.
And I assume so people who work in downtown, so many of them probably now work from home, right? And
yes, they are on the distant work.
Yes, so there are really no crowds of hungry employees during the lunchtime anymore. Yeah. So Veronica wants to ask, so how much would you say your basically number of clients dropped from pandemic to now? So if you count the pre-pandemic time as the baseline, would you say you have now what, like half of that number, less?
No, one third, yes.
1/3. Okay, so that's quite a drop. So that's. Yeah, so there is another question about the Indian influence. So why Indian influence? Was it just because the idea came when you traveled to India?
Yes, because the owners of the cafe, yes, now not the owners, but only the owner, because they have divorced, and now my mother-in-law, she ran the business alone, yes. They were not vegetarians, but in India they were inspired by the philosophy, which also implies being vegetarian. And,
are you vegetarian, like in your normal life, or?
I'm not. I do not eat meat, but I eat fish and dairy products. So it's called pescatarian. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, all right, good to know. So we have a few more questions, and I think we covered them earlier, but what I would like to do is I would like to invite the students to maybe share with us what restaurants in their locations do at this time to survive. So if you're brave enough, if you have a microphone, just raise your hand. You have a button at the bottom of your screen that says, like, literally looks like a raised hand, and maybe join and share with us. Maybe you know more, or maybe put it in the comments or questions. But meanwhile, while we are waiting for your input, so I would like to then ask you to clarify the task for the students. So this is a special task, and even though your restaurant here is basically the client, and the students will be looking at your specific case and trying to solve your specific situation, but it would be the same perhaps the same set of recommendations for other restaurants. And so I'm hoping that students will take on this task and will think about how they would be managing their restaurant if they were in this situation. And so there will be, I don't know how many students, probably at least several hundred, who will be working on this challenge. So what would you like them to focus on? What kind of input from the students would be of most interest, of most value to you? What would you expect, or what would be the type of input from the students where you would look at it and say, oh, this is very useful, I can do that. So what are you looking for primarily from the students? How they can be useful to you?
Primarily, I think, all in all, yes, I'm waiting for the strategy how to went from this pandemic situation, yes, and maybe first of all, I'm looking for marketing strategy, because as I said, we have no advertisement at all. Just we have started from Instagram. Yes, maybe you have some original or extraordinary ideas which will make citizens of St. Petersburg go to our cafes and they want to try it. Yes, to let them know, because I have to say that St. Petersburg, there are lots of restaurants. Maybe you know we have a famous Rubinstein Street, which is the most on which there are located the big amount of restaurants, so the competition is rather high there. Yes, so even that.
And this is why we actually liked very much when you approached us with your challenge, because your case is very typical. It's a big major city, a city that is normally a tourist attraction, or a city that is normally visited by many tourists. Your restaurants are right in the downtown where there are a lot of, local businessmen, people working. And so obviously now with the pandemic, the tourists are gone, people are working from home. So I thought that the challenges that you are experiencing, they're very typical for just about any restaurant in a major city in downtown area. And so from that perspective, I thought it would be an interesting solution, not only for you, but maybe the students can then take it and maybe share it with our local restaurant owners or friends who own restaurants.
Yes. And also one more difficult thing is that for some people, vegetarian is something new and extraordinary, despite the fact that I have said that there are a lot of fans, yes, of vegetarian in Russia, but for some people, for example, I was sitting in the cafe and two men came in, and they were very hungry. They were walking around the center of the city and want to have some food, yes. And then they start looking for the menu. They were very interested, but then they asked, do you have something with meat? And the cashier said that no, we haven't, but we have a lot of tasty food. You can find anything at your taste. They said, oh no, thank you. We were searching for something, how to say, something fat and delicious, and we do not want to eat vegetarian food. So for some people, they are afraid, yes.
Yeah, that's a little unusual.
And we want to communicate too that it can be very tasty and it can be very various, yes. And how can we do that? Just that people understand and do not afraid,
right?
Because some people afraid.
Yeah, I thought I would ask our attendees what percentage of the people in their countries are vegetarian, and it seems like most of the time about 10%, but we have a few people here who say that it's up to 75%. I assume that's probably India. I know that's a country that is traditionally vegetarian. Interesting, yeah. Where I live in southern United States, there are probably some, but I don't really know anyone who's vegetarian. But we do have some vegetarian restaurants. Yeah. Robert, you joined us, so you raised your hand, and then Marlon. So can you share about the situation with restaurants and all this whole pandemic thing in your location? Tell us where you are first, and then tell us more about
Yeah,
your.
sure.
Mhm.
Hello, my name is Robert. I apologize if my voice will be a bit shaky. I'm nervous a bit. I haven't
Oh, come on. Yeah, go ahead.
spoken for a while. The situation in our country is I live in
What's your location? Where are you?
I am in Slovakia.
Slovakia.
I live in a small town, 35,000 citizens, but we've got some restaurants, and most of them work with delivery or like just pick up, like you know what I mean.
Yep.
And what I wanted to mention, like if you said if you want to attract more people to your vegetarian cafes and restaurants, each of these restaurants have their like story, and they share it to the social networks, and they post, and you know, when people know their story, they are more interested into it. And yeah, and that's why I asked about the delivery, because most of them work with this delivery. You just call, and yeah, they by half an hour or hour you get your meal in
So
home.
in your town, it's a smaller town, but is it still a town that used to get a lot of tourists, or was it?
Yeah, because we're in the mountains and we've got lake, and yeah, we had a lot of tourists, but now apparently yeah, it's very bad situation
Are
now.
the restaurants still surviving though? I mean, do you know of any that went out of business?
There are some, but we've got like maybe 6 restaurants, like burger, normal restaurants, and also McDonald's is the only like has drive-through, and you can
They
go.
will survive anything, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
McDonald's
delivery is a big
just
thing.
fine.
That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah, although again, here we are talking about a restaurant that is definitely very different from McDonald's. I mean, not only the
Yeah.
food offerings, but it's a kind of much nicer environment and
Mhm,
much
mhm.
more, you know,
Cozy, yeah.
sophisticated food. So yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and I see we have a few more people who raise their hands. Veronica, Marlon, Saeed. So tell us about your situations with restaurant businesses and what do they do to survive? I don't know which one wants to go next. Veronica, you seem to be here with a microphone. Go ahead, please. And now the video has frozen. Veronica, can you say again? So, sorry, I think your microphone, it's not muted, but we cannot hear you. Oh, okay, it's good now, yeah. So where are you located and what do the restaurants do in your location to survive?
I'm from Argentina. I'm from a small city too, in the north. And for as far as I heard what you told us, the economic situation and all the situation with the restaurants is very similar with my country. So the most of the restaurants are working now, but in the time of the pandemic that they couldn't receive people in the restaurant, they went to Instagram. Like they worked really hard with Instagram and with takeout. So that's what we should work with your situation. And working with Instagram is the most important, I think.
Yeah.
I would say that when you guys develop your strategy, when you recommend, it's very important that you not only say, you know, go to social media, advertise on Instagram, you provide as many details as possible. I don't know about Daria, but I know that it's easy to say, but hard to do. So try to come up with as many suggestions, as many guidelines, maybe even samples of the ads, maybe even find, you know, ads that you found from your local restaurants that you think they're working well. So include them as examples, because it's very easy to say, oh, go advertise on Facebook or Instagram. But the reality is that if it's someone who hasn't done it before, it takes time to learn. And so please do provide as many details and guidelines as possible in your solutions. Yeah. Also in Argentina, you don't have many vegetarians in Argentina, do you? Because you are known for your beef, right?
Almost nobody is vegetarian. Food and meat is very important.
Yeah, I know that even like a little meal, people would have like a big steak and everything, right? So that's a whole different culture. All right. Okay. Yeah. Marlon Sayeda, how is the situation in your countries? Tell us where you are and tell us more about them.
I'm in Pakistan, and in Pakistan, people are so foodie that we can close restaurants, and first when lockdown started, it affected the restaurants, but now it's okay. Now restaurants are opened and people are just going there and they don't care. The government is not even responding.
So there are
And
no restrictions, like, no new rules about spacing, how many people can be in the restaurant. It's all back to normal like it was.
it's normal.
Uh-huh.
It's all normal, and people here don't care. Just they said, we just want food from restaurants. We don't want to eat at home.
Ah, okay.
And
Yeah, I haven't been to a restaurant for almost a year now, actually. So I don't know. Yeah. So,
yeah,
well,
and
good to be then good to be doing business in Pakistan, I guess, if you're in small business. And that applies to
yeah,
all kinds of businesses. Any other businesses that are closed, like, I don't know, gyms, or I don't know, movie theaters, are they open at this time too, or what's the deal in Pakistan?
yeah, they're open. Everything is open in Pakistan, and Daria can promote her restaurant by YouTube. She can make a channel and just promote her
That's an interesting
restaurant
idea, yeah.
stars and dishes, like she's preparing it at all the things, and by Google Ads also.
At Xculture, we do, as a cultural enrichment, we do these, what we call virtual picnics, and then we also do food preparation shows, so to speak. So we'll actually have one on Saturday. And so I noticed how many people join those meetings, like, for example, with this cooking show, what we do is we send to our students the list of ingredients that will, like for the food that will be prepared in the next session. And then one of the hosts is preparing the food. And we actually had someone from India, from Pakistan, from Nepal last semester, from the United States. And so first when we did it, when my associate said that they want to do it, I thought, like, who's going to watch, how you're preparing food? Turns out a lot of
Yeah,
people are interested, to watch how you're preparing food. So Daria, your food looks so beautiful. Maybe you should have some sort of like a YouTube cooking show, and, because, it really makes you want to eat when you see it. So I think that might be an interesting way to promote your restaurant, especially given that you prepare a very special vegetarian food. So it's not your usual, that everybody makes at home. So it can actually become quite popular. So why not? Yeah. And I see we have a few other people who joined us. So Aliyah, Marlon, tell us more about your countries and what restaurants do to survive in these times. Marlon, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I live in Dubai and the restaurants are open, but like the government puts restrictions. Everybody, like even the customers need to wear their mask. Otherwise the restaurant owner gets fined, or the restaurant, like the manager or anybody like running this thing, they get fined for like not following the rules or whatever like that. So otherwise most of the things are open, like almost everything is open, but everyone gets a fine. Like if you don't wear mask and all those things are like taken very seriously here.
How is it going with tourism? Every time I was in Dubai, it looked like, at least in downtown, it's like 2/3 of all the people are tourists. Is it still the same, or are you seeing a decline in the number of visitors?
No, there's a decline. Yeah, there is a significant decline in numbers.
Yeah, because Dubai, I mean, obviously you have all kinds of different industries, but tourism was one of the main.
One of the big ones. Yes.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
the big ones.
So I guess for the restaurants, it may be a little bit more difficult now.
No, I think it's like with the people like living here, it's I think stable now. Like there are some restaurants that have gone out of business, but many
Any
restaurants.
any subsidies that the government offers to the small business owners to sustain?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
If I can just say, Dubai is really popular now in our country because our Minister of Economy went there, and now there are some disagreements between Prime Minister, and because he went there for a holiday when he was the most difficult situation, and yeah, everyone is going now to Dubai, at least like celebrities or yes, so it's discussed much.
Yes, in our country we have the same situation. It is one of the few country which is opened and easily can be visited.
Yeah, easy to travel. The Academy of International Business and Xculture was there. We had the meeting there in 2016, I believe it was, or 17. And so that was a very interesting destination. So it's surprisingly inexpensive. Like I was staying at the 5-star, I was not at the 7-star hotel, I was at the 5-star hotel, but it was like $110 a night. Like in New York, it would have been like 300, maybe 4. So Dubai was surprisingly affordable and attainable. The only problem it was in August, and it was like 100, so in Celsius it would be like 45 plus It was so hot. So, but otherwise it was a very, very interesting place to visit. Everybody speaks English. Like you go to any store, everybody speaks English. That made it also easy for the international meetings. So, but yeah, all the other countries that you mentioned would be very interesting to, to visit sometime as well. So, yeah. And so Aliyah, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Where are you and what's the situation with the restaurants in your location?
Oh, well, I'm currently in Trinidad, well, born and raised.
Okay.
With most of the restaurants are open here. However, like due to COVID and stuff, a lot of places, unfortunately had to close like permanently or for a long time until they regain the funds. But they're open at, I think, is about 75% capacity right now. But with the story that Daria, I believe, shared with the two men, I thought about something that usually happens in some of our restaurants or whatever, like before, like if you're not sure what you want or if you're not interested at the like start when they seat you, etc., they may offer like some samples or you can request it.
That's a good idea.
In case, yes, so that they would not be so necessarily so scared. It does not have to be big, obviously, something small, so that it can introduce them in a kind of like a baby step.
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
And
Especially
with
if
the
restaurant has like
videos,
some
yes,
outdoor facilities when. Yeah. Aliyah, so Trinidad, you are a very tourist sort of oriented country, right? Like, I mean, I assume a substantial portion of the economy is tourism. Are tourists still coming, or what's the situation now with the foreign visitors?
Well, honestly, right now, tourism is not really big.
Is it not?
In my country, we usually get most tourists at certain times of the year. For example, like we have this big festival, we celebrate Carnival in most Caribbean islands, and it was our main tourist attraction here. And because of COVID, it got shut down this year. So right now, we don't really have many tourists.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, yeah. All right, so we're almost out of time. The only recommendation I would also give to the students as you are trying to find solutions to this challenge, it may not be a bad idea to go and interview restaurant owners in your city. Talk to them, see what they have to say. I'm sure everybody's thinking about how to survive, and maybe some of the ideas restaurant owners use in your location, maybe they could also be applicable in other locations, like in Russia, for example, or other cities. I think you will be able to learn a lot from them, and then it will hopefully help you with, developing a good solution to the challenge. We are almost out of time, so I don't know, Daria, any last comments, or anybody else here? So we have a nice group, international group here. Any thoughts, any comments, any questions at this time?
Actually, no special comments. I have already said, just thank you for choosing for this opportunity. I very appreciate it. And I just want to say that when I, with my teammates, we made this project, we were just sometimes afraid or hesitate to write some information or advertising. Just do not hesitate. We are glad to see everything you can propose, and do not afraid to think that it would be inappropriate or impossible. It just no matter. Everything you can propose, please propose it, because maybe exactly that thing could help us.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And yes, Daria, thank you very much for pointing out. Yes, Daria was one of the X-Culture students in the past, and now her business is participating as a partner, as a client. So same thing to all of you students here in the room, but also watching later on. So if you have an interest in business, whatever you may be making or selling, so maybe in the next semester or sometime next year, maybe your business can become a partner of X-Culture. So we would be very happy to see if we can help you solve whatever challenges you're dealing with and maybe expand into new markets. So that's kind of the most interesting part, when we have a former student now participating as a business partner. So. All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts and comments and questions. And then let's see what kind of ideas you come up with to this challenge. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.